Hey guys, I saw this little quiz thing on what kind of reader type you are, and I thought it'd be fun to talk about what reader type I am, and you guys can answer the questions too in the comments and tell me what kind of reader type you are. Everyone's different, and I am probably not like most booktubers. I cannot devour books as fast as most booktubers do. A lot of them read books sometimes in a day or multiple books in a week or multiple books at a time. I am not like that. But I still feel that my love for reading makes me valid in my opinions. And if you're not a speed reader or you can't read 50 books in a year, that doesn't make you any less of a reader and any less of a book lover. So let's get into it. First question is, are you a fast or slow reader? I am definitely not a speed reader. I am a slower reader. I cannot retain anything if I try to speed read. I just can't process it. I can't retain it. I can't comprehend it if I try to speed read a page. So I have to read a little slower pace, which then makes it take longer for me to get through a book. Question 2, physical reading or audiobooks? I prefer physical reading. I cannot do audiobooks personally. I get too distracted and I just can't listen to a book. My mind wanders and then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh yeah, I was listening to that and I missed everything that they were saying. I can't do it. I just can't. I hardly watch TV because I just can't even focus on the TV, let alone listen to an audiobook. I just can't focus on it. Just doesn't work for me. Next question. Physical book or ebooks? I like physical books. I love holding a book in my hand. I don't do ebooks, but I've got nothing against ebooks. To each their own. I just personally love the feel of a book in my hand. I just can't replace that. I love lining bookshelves with my books. And I get it, some people don't have room for books, so that's why they do ebooks. They don't have place to store them. And I'm kind of in that situation right now. I'm in between houses and I'm staying with family. And so my bookshelves are actually in storage and all my books are boxed up. So e-reading would actually probably be better for me right now, but I still prefer physical books. There's nothing like having that book in your hands. Bookmark or dog ear? I use bookmarks. I don't like dog earing pages. I only dog ear pages when it's in like a workbook or a textbook that I used like back in college. But my actual books in my collection, I can't do it. I don't do it. I try my best not to break the spines. I like them to stay pretty and perfect. I know a lot of people purposefully break spines and dog ear pages and annotate in their books, and I don't do any of that. I try to keep them super nice and pretty, and that's just me. That's just me. That's how I like my books. Other people like their books to be different than that. Read multiple books or read one book? I read one book at a time. I don't usually read multiple books at a time. Sometimes I will. It just depends, but it's very rare when I read more than one book at a time. I never read more than 2 books at a time. But reading 2 books at a time is so rare. I just like to read one book at a time and just really dive into that world and stay there until I'm done with it. It's my preference. Borrow books or buy books? I definitely prefer to buy books now. When I was younger, I didn't have the money to do that, so I used the library all the time and I borrowed books. But now I'm older and I have a steady job and I can splurge on myself every once in a while and buy my own books. And I love lining my shelves with new books that I love. But if if I wasn't able to do that, I have no problem with borrowing books from my library. Because libraries are awesome, because you can get pretty much any book. If your local library doesn't have it, usually they can loan it from another library if you want to read it. So you can get your hands on pretty much any book through your library. And I have no issue with borrowing my books too. I just don't do it as often anymore. I like to buy them now. Silence or music? I like to read with complete silence. I don't like noise, but with having a daughter and a dog, I don't get silence very often, and so I have to read with background noise, which is fine, but I prefer silence. I cannot read with music on. I don't know how people do that, honestly, because I love music, and if I'm listening to music, I will be like singing the song instead of reading the book I'm trying to read. So it's too distracting for me. Kind of like trying to listen to an audiobook. I just can't do it. I can't focus if music's playing. It's just too distracting for me. So those were my answers to those questions. Let me know what kind of a reader you are. I just think that sometimes there's a lot of gatekeeping among readers. If you don't read this many books, or if you don't read this kind of book, you're not as good of a reader as the next person. And I just don't like that. I don't think that way. Read what you like, read the way you like, do what you want with your books because they're your books, and let's just not judge people. Let's just try to encourage people to read more. It shouldn't matter if you read classics or you read manga or you read fantasy or you read romance or what have you. If you read nonfiction, it shouldn't matter. We're all reading. It shouldn't matter if you read 12 books at one time or if you only read one. So let's just all enjoy this hobby together and stop being so elitist. It's not pretty. Thanks for talking books with me.